pillars of the earth, representing the two superpowers. The superpowers that was at Cold War with each other for 70 years. The same superpowers that generated the most high-tech espionage networks in the world. The same two superpowers that gave each other technology that produced the atomic bomb and other technological advances between the two nations. Right? So the fallacy of Russia and America being enemies when Russia was the only ones that sent support to the natives of the land when they seized Alaska from the French and the Spaniards that was attacking us on the west, that decimated the Caulifia queens. Right? Her castle used to sit where Alcatraz at. They bombed it into oblivion with the Spanish Armada. And then they wrote the fictional tales of the encounter with the Amazonian women, which is another story for the Caulifia queens, because they ruled all the way from California to the Amazon going around south. And the women used to go there to do women's retreat rituals for cleansing and healing, like after childbirth, after relationship breakups or a person died. They used to go to the Caulifia queens for healing, spiritual healing, right? And the men would be on the mainland and they protected the castle from the mainland. But they hadn't experienced no shit like that Spanish Armada, right? They built a replica because they got to give us a means to discover what they did. So they had to build a replica of the Caulifia Castle. And you see it every time you watch a Disney movie. The replica of the Caulifia Queen's Castle. And women used to come from all over the world to learn the science of love and the art of making a family peaceful and happy from the highest evolved feminine position of royalty.
Sure.
The culture hasn't changed. We just put on modern clothes. You still have people trying to bring back the old culture, right? When they used to wade in the water, that's not just a gospel song. That's a tribal coded liberation song. Because when the women go back to dressing in the white and doing the water rituals of cleansing and balancing their energy to the spiritual synchronicity between water and spirit, they become a whole different creature. And we got heaven on earth again.
Yes, sir. So that's deep. So I got some questions I want to follow up with that, but we had a tribe member drop a good question I said I'll bring to the floor. So I'm gonna ask from the tribe real quick before I go into mine. So shout out to Yin Yan Princess says, what's the difference between Russia and is it Prussia? Prussia?
Yeah, when it was Prussia is when it was under it was a whole empire. It covered almost 60% of northern Europe. It was called the Prussian Empire. And it was a rival empire to the rise of the Italian Roman Empire. Right? So they fought wars between each other. They culminated with the Bolshevik Revolution and the assassination of Tsar Nicholas, the rightful blood heir. And he wasn't pale-faced.
That sounds like the black nobility type stuff.
It was, because in Europe, the Inquisition, the French Revolution was the infighting from the invaders that came out of the Middle East. They came up through Turkey as Ottomans became Byzantine kings. they went across northern Africa, being chased across the desert sands until they crossed into the Iberian Peninsula for the shenanigans they was doing. Elijah Muhammad tell you what they was doing. Everywhere they go, they cause mischief and bloodshed. They find two peaceful people, sow the seeds of dissension between them. This is called divide and conquer.
Yep.
And when they fighting each other and they about to kill each other in the heat of the moment, while they the heat of the passion, they step in the middle and say, I can solve your problem if y'all listen to me. And then he stick his hands out to get paid. So I say for a fee.
Yeah.
So they ran him they came into Europe as the Etruscans and Phoenicians. Settled Italy, making Rome. Tuscany was before it was Rome, Italy. So during this time, you have the birth priestesses birthing new civilization in Greece. Right? Remember, the first university in Europe was on the island of Crete. And it was developed and staffed by Egyptian priests and priestesses.
That's deep. That's real deep.
The Jacobite is the imposter. The Earthborn is the original. How do we know this? What do Jacob mean? It means supplanter. What do a supplanter do? It burrows under the root to replace the original. Right? And so the supplanter is the one coming to steal the birthright. They tell you that in the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob being Jacob. Jacob being the supplanter. To conceal his identity and his purpose, they changed his name to Israel.
Listen.
So now he's living his life with an alias. He's no longer Jacob the supplanter. He's all of a sudden, voila, I'm an Egyptian now.
Now, that's funny because I just saw something today I meant to send you before we got on the doggone air to share on the air, but maybe we'll do it on the next one. But okay, now when you say the Jacob character, now in regards to that, are we talking about the big-headed scientist? Is that the same character, the Jacob character?
Which was originally metaphoric, but he did have a fat ass head. But we be calling people that to imply they're extra smart. Remember, the term brainiac and the term nerd came from a school of ours called Brainerd University, which was one of the elementary schools that would produce nothing but geniuses. So when you've been hearing people calling somebody a nerd, a geek, right, or a brainiac, all that come from Brainerd University. It was brought back to life by Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen.
When did they bring it back to life? Was it in a movie or a show or something?
No, in real life.
Get out of here.
In real life. If you follow Felicia Rashad and Debbie Allen, and they were they refighting, they raised money to bring Brainerd University back.
Wow.
With their curriculum.
Wow. That's dope. I've never heard of that. That's deep. That's real deep.
It's a lot of because the celebrities are under contract that they're not supposed to do nothing for their community.
Yep. That's how they get
all until the duration of the contract expires. That's to keep them out of community activism work. Because because we believe in breaking bread and helping each other get on our feet. So when you start making $100 million as a basketball player, football player, baseball player, your natural instinct is to go back and put your whole town on.
Right.
I'm finna go put all my homeboys on now. So they needed to stop that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of people like Debbie Allen, like Ruby D and Ozzy. They were doing work with the people and they was using their celebrity status. And because they was educating the people, they became just as much of a threat as a frontline civil rights activist on the dark Mississippi road.
Yeah, that's deep. Shout out to the brother Jaylen Brown too, from the Celtics. He been doing a lot of work like that too. He's been doing a lot of work. So now that's real deep.
Yeah. So the thing with Kyrie, they can't contract Kyrie not to do anything for his people because Kyrie it is against his culture and his religion, his tribal religion. You can't stop me from doing for my people. And whoever his lawyer is probably invoked that in the contract negotiations. Because Kyrie be doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But see, we forget about Craig Hodges though.
Yeah, I just saw something recently. He was sharing his story. I think it might have been on Matt Barnes and brother I forgot the other brother, Steven Jackson's podcast, if I'm not mistaken, where he got blackballed. He was actually talking about how he got blackballed from the league for that.
Yeah, for wearing the dashiki to the White House.
Wow.
The best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah. Yeah.
The number 1 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah.
And they kicked him out for expressing his cultural identity.
What about Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf? He got blackballed from the league too.
Yeah, but he was nutting up though. We could use all his ethnic passes, but he don't need none.
I think he was dealing with a health issue too, though. Didn't he have like, I don't know if it was like Tourette's or I don't know if it was MS. There's something I think he had some sort of like health issue too. I think that was messing with him. Wow. Okay, I tell you what. So now with the Russia thing, because you dropped a lot of jewels on that. Can you talk to, especially with today's overall theme, but we're gonna hit a lot. But can you kind of speak to Russia's like their part in regards to this thing called like the extraterrestrial technology and extraterrestrial like ships and crafts that have, I think crashed or either been shot down on Russian territory that they were able to reverse engineer, which led them to be the first, if I'm not mistaken, ones that quote unquote went into outer space in regards to like in the last few hundred years worth of time. Does those kind of tie into what we're talking about? Who rose up from the?
So they got all that technology from Adolf Hitler.
That's where I want to go.
The technology was split between Britain and America, Russia, and France. This is where we get Operation Paperclip, where they bring in all of the Nazi scientists and start NASA. That means they already in contact with extraterrestrials at this time. Adolf Hitler was a contactee, and the dude they keep telling us Adolf Hitler, and they keep showing us this cracker. That's not Adolf Hitler.
Like a double, or like
no,
like you said,
he was a parody. That guy was a parody of Adolf Hitler.
Kind of like
a Charlie Chaplin. He was a Charlie Chaplin type actor. Just like they put that skin mask on Jim Carrey to play Joe Biden.
Wow.
It's the same thing, and that ain't changed. The strategies that they've been using is the same thing, concealing identities in order to push the agenda further. They just ran into the wrong one.
Yeah. Now, how does that tie into the Thule Society and what is her name? Was it Madame Blavatsky?
Madame Blavatsky, right? So the Thule Society infiltrated Madame Blavatsky's Theosophical Society because she had what they considered real deal knowledge
and the power to like remote view too, right? to be able to kind of remote.
She was doing all kind of stuff. Her information is powerful. So they put a smear campaign out on Madame Blavatsky, but she was like one of the spearheads of the spiritualist movement of the late 1800s, early 1900s. The spiritualist movement in America was triggered by people looking to find a remedy for the conjure of John Dee that he gave to the Queen of England in order to put the people under a hypnotic trance in America. So this is why they gave us the assassination of Crispus Attucks, and they can't let us forget who shed first blood. Because this is how you gonna determine who was the defender and who was the attacker. That's how you gonna know who is white on the chessboard and who is black, right? The black pieces, they consider him already dead because the white piece moved first. He drew first blood, right? And what did he do with his bloody hands? He covered the mouth of the women so that they couldn't scream. While you violate them. So now, in remembrance of any other sisters, you see them wearing the bloody handprint on their mouth. Because they was warned with the threat of death not to say nothing when they got abused.
Right.
It's the same enemy. The enemy cloaked himself. Over here, Noble Jew Ali discovered them in New Jersey as more Zionist Jews. Right? So then, as a counteroffensive, he created the Moorish Science Temple. Right? Because he got to fight conjure magic with conjure magic. Right? All of the chiefs know that back then. It's common knowledge, just like it's common knowledge that Tupac was a rapper. Same type of common knowledge.
Yeah, that's deep. That's real deep. And then, so because that goes back to, especially when you talk about the technology for the flying saucers, the technology for the crafts that the Nazis and Hitler and all them had access to. Now, when we get into this part of the conversation, because we about to go ahead and start, raising the altitude. When we get into that part of the conversation, where does the correlation and the connection of the Nazi Germany's, society in regards to like extraterrestrial technology and crafts, but then how does that tie into why Antarctica? So
one of the things they discovered in theosophy is something called the Mahatmas. These were monks that kept ancient scrolls in the mountains of Tibet. So he sent a guy named Heinrich Himmler on an expedition to recover the scrolls. And they got a secret portion of scroll from the chapters of a text called the Vimana Sutra. The Vimana Sutra teaches you or gives you the blueprints to create anti-gravity flying apparatus. So they get a head start. They used modernization to try to update all of the graphics and update the technology that was being used so that they can make the craft more efficient. So those were the projects Hitler had them working on, right? And once they made contact with extraterrestrials, the game plan now has to take a drastic shift. On chess, that's called castle.
Yeah, that's deep. So what is the significance to that whole, the Nazi movement and all that with Antarctica? Because I know they have the poles blocked off and all that. What's the significance in that, and why is that?
Because when Adolf Hitler got a hold of the ancient world map, he found a place called Tartarus. And this is why everybody keeps saying Tartaria. But the place is Tartarus. It's spoke about also in the book of Enoch. And this is the land that was under the ice in Antarctica.
Mm.
They had already received the reports from Admiral Richard E. Byrd about his experiences in Antarctica. That was way before World War II.
Yeah.
So once they
30s, when was that?
1927, I think it was 1927 or something like that.
Because he was flying over either the North or the South Pole, and he ended up flying into the inner Earth.
That's when he flew over the North Pole, when he flew into the inner Earth.
Gotcha.
When he flew to Antarctica, he talked about the unexplored lands that he's seen. Antarctica under the ice is probably big as North America.
Mm-hmm.
Or bigger.
Yeah.
Right? And this is why when people see the ice shelf, they think it's a wall. Right? But it's not a wall, it's a shelf. If you see it from the top, you will understand what I'm telling you. You can see all of the ancient structures starting to melt through the ice, thanks to the return of the sun cycle. The sun cycle is going to thaw Antarctica out. We got cryogenics and cryostasis from telepathic communication with people that was frozen under the ice to tell them how to thaw them out without killing them.
Oh boy.
Look, they try to tell us that they brought them from Africa and set them loose in Antarctica and they thrived. And they called them the Bashinga tribe. They was already under the ice. They thawed them people out. Based on telepathic instructions, the Nazis was the first to have a base in direct contact with the people in the ice. Right? One of the things that they was experimenting on is genetics. We got to remember, Adolf Hitler sent Benito Mussolini into Egypt.